Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next week of topics. And today, what we are going to talk about is some of the top tech trends that I see happening in 2023. This might be a little bit of reverse order because we've already had one of those tech trends talked about earlier in the year. But I still think, you know what, we need to kind of get this done and in place to make sure we have this out here and you're ready for some of the conversations and really, the ability to make sure you can see what's happening in the future and what's coming down the road. So, I've got basically 5 topics in here that we're going to talk about. We're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, AR, augmented reality, as well as what's known as Proptech, which is just short for property tech, and Contech, which is construction tech that's out there, as well as we will have a brief conversation as well about blockchain. No, I did not say cryptocurrency. Those things are confused many, many times together. But yeah, we will try to have a conversation just briefly about blockchain because, well, the honest answer is it is obviously way more than cryptocurrency, although that is primarily where it's used. It's a lot bigger than that, and it would be helpful to understand what it is and where some of those uses will probably come into play for us in our business in the next several years, if not this year. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room that everyone's talking about right off the bat. And again, I've had a previous video; there'll be links to it down below. But there was a big conversation about artificial intelligence, and it's short for AR. AI is short for artificial intelligence. AI is a machine learning tool that will help us hopefully do our job a little bit easier. There's topics and articles out there saying, will AI replace a realtor? The bottom line is no. I will also say that, it's always my tool versus a crutch conversation. AI is also not the end all be all. It's not going to be the golden solution that makes my life easier, gains me 30 leads overnight. It's not going to do that, but it will be and can be used as an amazing assistant, right? It can do some many powerful things. This AI will do a lot of basic analysis for us. Chat GPTs being one of the biggest example of what's known as AI, right? Where it will come in there and help you do some research. If you turn on some of the newer features, if you're paying for it, it will help you research some websites. There's actually all sorts of APIs now, apps in most of our terms, that it will come out there and start doing some analysis. Like you can put a PDF file in here now and it will decipher it and read some of that stuff out there. It will do some analytics. It will do some programming for you, right? So there's all sorts of great little AI chat GPT will do for you. But you also have other tools out there that people are playing with quite a bit that can make this, I think, very helpful for us. And again, more of an assistant, I think, than anything else currently. That AI could be used as a um, ability to create some pictures, right? There's a neat little application called Midjourney. There are several other examples out there, but that AI tool will generate images, right? I can give it a prompt, a command that will tell us to, build a picture of a group of people looking at a for sale home, a home for sale, or I could have a picture of a home overlooking a lake with the sun coming from the back end, right? I can do things like that and get really nice pictures drawn. Now, a couple things you got to be very concerned about when you're doing AI, and come back to different things out here. I am building instructional videos all the time on getting better with AI, but what I will tell you is um, um, the necessities in the details for using these AI tools, right? So you got tools like Midjourney and ChatGPT. They're only as good as the instructions we give it. So if we're not being extremely descriptive or telling it exactly what we want, our results may vary. Also understand that these tools, although they have been around a lot longer than we've had access to them, are still pretty much new in the world, right? So there's always edits and corrections and going on. Remember, this is machine learning, so it's always learning and improving on getting better out there. So be very cautious about some of the things that you do. Again, don't expect great results all the time. It's always going to depend on what you do and how you write it. And again, I will have a couple quick helps in there for commands and stuff like that. Now, you do have other AIs that I think are neat assistance tools. One is called D-ID. Dash is not spelled out, it's literally the dash, where you'll actually let you create an assistant, a virtual assistant. You can write the command words out. You can create a video on this and it will talk and do this stuff where it's actually really pretty neat. The reason I mentioned this one over some of the other ones is one of my favorite tools these days for us in real estate is Canva. And they're starting to add a lot more AI into the avenue and a lot into the business. So when you do this, you have the ability to add all this stuff in here. It's got a magic write, it's got some mass production tools, but one of them they added here is a dash uh, D dash ID, and it's really kind of neat and a lot of really neat access to it. So jump in, start playing with it just a little bit, and see different things that you can do with it. So that's AI. Lots of pros, a couple cons to be concerned about early on. I would say the other concern is, especially if you are not going to pay for it, always understand that there will be a copyright conversation that you got to have. Make sure you review all the tools and see who owns them. Remember, anytime you talk about copyright, we need to always make sure we know basically three things of a copyright. One, who owns the material. Two, who can use the material, and three, for how long, right? So those are the three things always you want to worry about with copyright. And when you deal with AI, especially when you're creating things like blog posts or articles or pictures or whatever it may be, you're going to want to know who has access and who owns the stuff that's being created on that. And the other thing that I learned the other day is a copyright is very new on the AI thing, because the one thing I guess I did not realize, although I guess I did, but I didn't put it in context, is it has to be human created, right? So there's semantics there with AI. We are giving the commands, creating it, so we have some creation points in there, but technically it's a computer generated event. So it'll be an interesting conversation to have there. So, with that all being said, again, a few pros, few cons, just so you understand that. The next one is augmented reality. Sorry about that. Now, with augmented reality, that's known as AR, augmented reality. These augmented reality is a tool that will show you things, deliver things, kind of like an overlay over the real world, right? It's augmenting what we see on a daily basis. We see this in some things today in our world. If you use apps like Waze, you're seeing some of those overlays in place there. You're seeing back in the day, there was Google goggles or Google goggles, what it was called. That was out there that you would walk around with this little lens and it would show different things, different parameters over your screen, right? So we've seen this, but recently you're starting to see more and more AR coming into play in the conversation, mostly from a real estate perspective, anyways, from a virtual staging, right? We can put real life furniture in a home. We can change things up, right? You've got paint companies and different hardware companies and furniture companies that will let you display the room, put the pictures in there, and it will let you put out there what the bed will look like, what a window picture, right? You'll see these things out there. So this is an augmented reality solution out there. And you're going to see more and more of this. You're going to see virtual tours that are more AR in nature. You're going to see an extremely more immersive event, such as, tools like Matterport, right? Matterport will do a 3D scanning of the room. It will give you a real feel to the house, and you could walk through it virtually, right? If you grabbed some of the VR screens that are out there today, you could actually walk through the house and see it. And then, there could be uh, verbiage sitting on the wall, virtually sitting right there, right? You can see things like that. So that's your AR that's out there. So one of the things that's what's challenging with AR right now, though, is when you're looking at it, while it's got, I think, some really good benefits and some really good tools out there for you, I think one of the biggest challenge you in there is, well, it's hardware, right? I mean, that demands a lot of resources. You just can't go. I mean, Google tried it for a while with their Android phone, letting you do some AR stuff, some virtual stuff just through their phone. And it worked okay. But the phone just really wasn't strong enough. So you needed a hardware, right? You needed a Samsung device. You might have needed to have a PlayStation or an Xbox or something like that that's in place. Just literally 2 seconds ago, when I was listening to some things, you actually had um, Apple jump into this a little bit. So you're seeing some of that, but it requires resources that have out there. Some of that's also is mapping issues. So you're going to see some things that might not be as accurate as you see. You're talking virtual world versus, overlays over the top. So some things may be a little difference in here. The other thing I will say is, as far as some of the future of this goes, I think you're going to see this become more and more wearable, right? We are more and more attached to devices all day long. We have things like our watches on us at all times. I guess some of us actually do wear glasses these days. I think you'll see that actually come into play. It was a miss a few years back, but I do think that technology is improving rapidly over time. So you're going to see that. I think you're going to see it while you're driving your cars. You're going to see a lot of overlays over that in there very soon. So the potential is endless for us as far as real estate goes. I think it's the same thing. You're going to see more and more of it, which becomes a question, right? If you see more and more, one of the challenges we got to see, we have to actually present a true picture when we do things. So that's one of the challenges we're going to have to fight of and be very cognizant of in real estate, is that we become very conscious of that particular avenue, right? So we make sure we're always giving a real world example of what's going on. So, there are tools. I mentioned one already. You got Matterport. You have another tool out there called Augment. It is what's a virtual showing tool that will let you see this stuff. You've got tools like Roomy, which is an AR VR tool, again, virtual staging that's out there. You got Magic Plan, which I think is actually a very neat tool that will actually let you create floor plans using some of the AR technology. Use the smartphones, tablets is actually kind of neat. So there's some tools out there as well. Go play with them, check them out. There's some really neat things that are out there. Now, Proptech. Proptech and Contech, we're going to have some overlap in this conversation because there's some overlap in this stuff. But Proptech stands for Property Technologies. These are the tools that are being leveraged for doing some of the things we need to do on a daily basis, right? Um, Figure out and use it for analytics of different things, use it for selling properties, some AR visualization tools. These are some of those things that are out there that are there today. They property tech is all the tools that you're using to help look at, show, see a home through the internet platforms, right? That's essentially all it is. You'll also see it be conversations in cryptocurrency and bitcoins, things like that. But what I want you to be aware, just the term is really what I want you to be aware of, because prop tech, companies like, well, we won't get into the company names, but you do have companies out there that are using prop tech. Most websites out there to this day are using it to some degree, right? Any company out there that has an automated value model has that solution in place, right? Roomy, I mentioned before, is a virtual tool, staging tool. That's a prop tech, right? But anything out there that is helping manage the property, helping manage the evaluation, smart home technology, even some Bitcoin and cryptocurrency or blockchain and cryptocurrency type of conversation, that's prop tech that's out there. So just beware. These are the tools that are every day helping, supposedly, and I do think they do, technically making our life a little bit easier. Also understand they're not necessarily designed just for real estate professionals. They're designed for the consumer. So that's where you're seeing a lot of this come into play. So with this, what I would say is it's great tools. Be very, very aware of this. But I would encourage you to be very aware of what's going around you, all the third party companies that are building tools to make the buying and selling process easier. That's the goal. Whether it is or isn't is a totally different conversation, but that is the goal that's out there. So that's coming out there, right? Just a list of different digital tools, comprehensive databases that help do things like virtual tours and help make the decision making process easier. Now, with that, I said another one is Contech, right? Which is just short for construction technology. This one I find kind of interesting because depending on where you're located in the United States, you may or may not be aware of some of these things in the construction technology era. So if we start with some of the simple things out there, one of the things that you can have is some augmented or some artificial intelligent tools like building information modeling or projection management software that will help you understand the process, the cost, the building automatic plans for help establishing the process for new construction. But one of the things that I think has been fascinating construction technology is the 3D printing, right? So if you're not familiar with 3D printing, you actually have the ability, let's just take it outside of real estate for a second. 3D printing, you could actually buy this little, I don't know, 3 foot by 3 foot printing device. And what it does is it takes plastic. Now, there's variations of how this is done, but I'm going to take one of the most prominent ones. It takes a spool of plastic thread, puts it into a printer. It then just basically models whatever you want to print, right? So if you wanted to print a little Mickey Mouse, like you see on my hat, I could do it in 3D and have it out there, pop it out, and I'd have it in a couple hours. I'd have a one. And they're actually gotten so good that if I wanted to have a moving Mickey, I could build that inside this 3D printing device. Well, what's fascinating about that is people and construction companies are starting to use that for building homes. It's considered a more green process. So when you look at this, you can actually, it's mostly out west right now, is where I've seen most of the builds being happened at. But they'll take like a printed extrusion device and it will build the layout of the house through that. They're doing other practices with that. I think they are starting to add a little plastics in there. I'm hoping to actually interview some people that are doing it now, and that'll be a secondary video. But it's actually very interesting. What you're also seeing, especially on the commercial side of real estate, is you're starting to see people starting to build these virtual layouts of the building, right? They're building that so people can walk through it before the building's actually done. Like they will take a couple floors already built and laid out, and they will video Matterport or something like that, and they'll augment reality of this thing. And now people can go and look at every level how it's going to look. They're going to see how it looks looking out across the city landscape or wherever you may be, the waterfront, whatever it is. And you're going to get that real feel for it, right? So those are some really interesting things. Again, Contech has some really good strategies coming out. Something to be very aware of. Internet of Things is another one because Internet of Things is those smart devices in our house that you can come out there and use to build and have security on your home, automate the processes of the home, right? Those Internet of Things are very neat, and you're seeing those put again in residential homes most immediately, as well as commercially as well. And what's also actually funny, and I jumped past this. I'm just seeing my notes right now, so I think this is interesting. Um, you're seeing some robotics being built, right? So one of the things you're seeing is some basic tasks like bricklaying or concrete pouring and things like that, having things transferred back and forth. Like I saw something the other day that was uh, a robot that was essentially on a ladder, but not really. That was moving sheets of rooftop, roofing material up to the roof of a home, right? So you're seeing things like that that are happening out there as well. So Contech is a very large conversation, things to be very aware of. I think it's fun. Again, Contech has various challenges, expenses, efficiencies being some of them currently. But overall, I think it's a big pro and something to just to be very cognizant of when you're talking, especially when you're talking to your consumers and people that are looking to buy in your area. So, last but not least, blockchain. Now, as I hinted earlier, this is often said synonymously with cryptocurrency. It is not the same thing. It is how it gained its prominence in the terminology and in our area of knowledge, but it's not the same thing. Blockchain is a decentralized and distributed digital ledger technology that allows for secure and transparent record keeping and verification of transactions across multiple computers or nodes. Essentially, it operates in a chain of blocks where each block contains a list of transactions, essentially instructions. These blocks are linked together using cryptographic hashes, creating an immutable and tamper resistant record of transactions. That was one big thing. I want to make sure I read that to you verbatim because what that essentially means is notice it didn't say anything about cryptocurrency. This is not the ledger for cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency does use blockchain, but it's not what it is. Blockchain was decided and designed to keep things secure. It is a way, it breaks things up in biteable chunks so it can transfer over the internet at quick speeds. It will have a series of instructions on how things are supposed to work via a transaction, right? So you see in cryptocurrency a lot of wallets that you transfer Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it may be back and forth and going through on that persuasion, right? You will have that in place. But you're looking at other tools in real estate that are looking, well, not even necessarily in real estate, but other tools that are out there. You're looking at like deed and title transfers, things like that are going to be out there. You're looking at, I know some of the conversations also are being had about like, I'm trying to think what the name of it is now. I just went blank. I'll have to come back to it. But there's other tools out there that we do locally that we're looking to have a digital process for verification and proof. This is one of them, right? This is helping make that transaction easier. Now, the reason why it's so valuable is it's fairly transparent and secure, right? We get to see what's happening. It's there, it's recordable, it's trackable. I can see what's happening. Some people do like the decentralization of blockchain. There is no single entity or authority in there. If you're not sure what that means, it believes it has trust. It's speed and quick because it is biteable chunks. It happens in a faster process. Slow internet versus high speed internet is not a crucial factor for this particular example. It does have the ability to have smart contracts, right? So different self-executing predefined rules. Again, you're seeing that mostly in the cryptocurrency world. We're having some of that in place. People say, yes, it moves forward. No big deal. So that's the reason why. Why not? Why not use blockchain? Or why isn't it really taking off so much? Well, for the most part, blockchain is a complex tool, right? It is a very complicated build program that actually does this protection, right? This is an encryption. It's essentially what it is. And encryptions aren't easy. So it requires a lot of knowledge and a lot of collaboration and agreement upon all stakeholders. And that's just not really happening at this particular point. Not that I don't know if it will or won't, but it's not there yet at the very least. It has not been simplified. It has not been understood by the masses yet. So with that challenge, that's not going to happen. It will take education with this, right? So hopefully things like this, conversations that we're having today, will help understand and make that just a little bit easier for us. But that's really probably the biggest reason that's out there. So, with that being said, that is to me the 5 topics I think we all should be trying to be stay very much on top of researching various conversations, staying on top of it. So AI, AR, Proptech, Contech, and blockchain. Blockchain goes with cryptocurrency. I'm choosing not to have that conversation right at this particular moment. We'll have it at a later time. But that's that. I do hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something of value out that. Please always in the comment section, whatever platform you are getting to me and finding me on, please tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you didn't like. Tell me future conversations you want me to have. Also, this is always hosted on YouTube Live every Friday at 1. So you want to see it out there, like and subscribe. Put the notification button on. It will be there. So can't wait to see you at the next video next Friday. Until then, have a great day.